Hi, everyone. So thanks for joining. I'm Linda Simovich. Originally, this was supposed to be a dual presentation tomorrow, but some little snafu happened with the schedule, and my co-presenter, Amit, is currently still flying here. So he won't be able to join us. So I had to change the presentation a little bit, and hopefully we will be able to get through this without me making too many mistakes. So first of all, earlier this morning, I was with Oren on stage talking about the new, and Oren here, about the new usability and new UX that's coming in Dynamics. I just wanted to get a quick feel from the room. Who else was in that room with us earlier today? Is there maybe a third of the room? There's a lot of mobile that I presented earlier this morning, so you may see some duplicate stuff going on in the presentation, but I want to make this a little more of a deeper dive. So I'm going to try to show some more things that are mobile specific and more about the control framework that's coming out. So unified interface is what we're calling our new usability framework. And when I arrived at Microsoft about a year ago exactly, we started this project. And before I even arrived, they've been working on this project. It was incredibly immense amount of work because we ripped out what was the existing framework of delivering how we make UI and how everything shows up on the screens and put in a brand new framework that can be reused all over the place on mobile and web and tablet. So it's been a lot of work and a very marathon ride to get where we are today. And the reason why we did this was really to have a deploy once and see it everywhere kind of mentality. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. We wanted to be able to work on one thing and not have to have different code on every single system. So with Mocha, which is currently the mobile device for Dynamics, it's a different code base. So when we have our web client and we have a mobile client, if there's a bug in one, we have to make sure everything works the same in both areas. So we decided if we create one single framework that can be used everywhere, and you can customize it, put in your own controls, and see it on the web and have it translate down to mobile, it benefits everyone. It benefits us because we're building out a mobile device that we can support and fix one bug, and it gets fixed everywhere. And it also helps our ISVs because they can create a control that can work everywhere as well and work on mobile, work on the web. And this is a mobile-first release. So you'll see in the release that's coming, we're only releasing the unified interface on mobile. It's not going to be available on web until a release after. And this is a way to ease in any kind of user interface changes to users because a lot of people do have a lot of anxiety when they see a lot of things moving around. And what that means, if they start using mobile first, because the mobile client is going to be different than web, once web adapts to the same interface, it will all be the same. So training really shouldn't be a problem because it's the same exact interface on web as it will be on mobile. Everything is almost exactly the same. This is also going to have full offline support. So we have Azure. If you have an Azure instance, you can deploy that out to Azure, sync all of the data down to the phone or tablet, and you can run in complete offline mode, just like you can with Mocha. And it is fast to open and fast to navigate. I demoed this morning logging in, and I can do that again today, that it's mere seconds to get into the app now. So it's very fast. We have a whole new metadata sync paradigm on how we're pulling the data down. And it is so much better and much faster. You get right into the app. And we also will continue to support MAM and MDM support with Good and with Intune. It is a smart mobile, so using our relationship insights and relationship analytics, that will also be available on mobile, and I'll show this in the demo later. And it is in context, so we're bringing the right stuff in the right place and helping with efficiency, app-to-app integrations. We have Office integrated. We have SharePoint integrations with OneNote, and everything that you had on Mocha will continue to work on the new mobile client. We have complete parity in this release, but we have some additional new benefits that are coming out because of the new framework that we have. And it's also empowering you have the entire CRM on the go. So what's great about this is that all of the commanding, all of the screens that you've made so particular for web is done. And the entire thing will be available on mobile, which is really powerful. And I say this coming from a long background in the CRM world, not necessarily Dynamics. There's nothing else like this. This is very unique. And that's why it's so exciting. And I'm incredibly proud of our team, because to make this happen and it's working and we're seeing how powerful this is, it is really a differentiator. And it's making the product come to a new level because it's also fully available offline. So I'm going to talk a little bit about custom controls. In this release, we're releasing our new custom controls on this framework. And these custom controls are available on web, tablet, and mobile. The first screenshot in the upper left-hand corner just shows that in the configuration, you can choose to turn a control on for just web, or you can have it just be for mobile. But the benefit of building controls on our new control framework is that you can make it adaptive. What I mean by that is that you can code the control to take a different form that is touch optimized versus if you're on the web, it can grow into a larger size. And we've done that with every single thing you've seen on any screenshot that you've seen prior for UCI or Unified Interface. Everything we've done is on this framework. So when you see a grid and it has 16 columns on the web, and we go down to mobile and it's a list view with touch targets, that is the framework that makes that happen. And the framework has a system inside of it that we're building accessible controls. So it's really important to have screen readers be able to read this. And accessibility is now a goal of Microsoft's. All of our products have to be accessible out of the gate. And what I mean by that is if you're on the web, someone who has a vision disability, they have to use a screen reader that reads everything on that screen out loud. And I actually had no sensitivity to this before because I've never heard a screen reader before in my life. But they get stuck. Currently in the online version of Dynamics out in the market, if you hear a screen reader, it will read buttons twice. It will skip over things, and a blind user has no idea what to do next. They don't know if they should back up or move forward or skip a button, and sometimes they can't even do that. So in this release, we're putting in the control framework, accessibility. So everything is accessible from the ground up. And if you build a control on the framework, those controls will be accessible as well, because it will use the ARIA controls, which are what the screen readers use to read out loud. And those ARIA controls will be built in to read the right information out loud. The next screenshot is the marketplace that we're planning to build. So this is a current screenshot of what will come out of this release, but you can add controls from a marketplace. The vision is to have a full marketplace that ISVs can create new controls on. So for example, we don't really have a great, I would say, like drag and drop kind of calendar functionality. But an ISV could create a very specific calendar with drag and drop functionality that is specific for field service, let's say. And they could publish this out into the market. And these are things we're looking to have ISVs build out more and more, so that all you have to do is go out there, grab the control, and you can pull it in and have it show up on web and mobile. And that's a vision. That's not in this current release, but that's what we're thinking. So the custom control framework is metadata-driven. It is also configurable and reusable. And what I mean by that, configurable means, do I want it to show up on web? Do I want it to show up on mobile or tablet? You can make the thing operate differently based on where you want it to be and how you want it to look. And that also goes through the visualization of data. So sliders and controls with gas gauges about the data. These can be completely configured if you're working at a chocolate company like Hershey's and wanted to have a little Hershey thing run across the screen. I mean, the imagination is really the limit here. you can do any kind of visualization of the data that you would like. And it is portable. So the controls are solution aware. So if you install your solution, nothing should break because we understand if you're using our framework that it's within those confines and things should upgrade seamlessly. Configurable, and it is responsive. What I mean by responsive is responsive to the viewport, so phone, tablet, web. So custom controls, like I said, are responsive, they're adaptive, and they're reusable. And a really good use case of this is that we're building the entire thing out of custom controls. Our field service team is rebuilding all of their controls onto the custom control framework so that everything is moving to unified interface. All of our suite is going to be on unified interface eventually. And we're reusing those controls ourselves. We're reusing the the task-based experiences. We've taken that from Mocha, and eventually it'll be available on the web. And we're also reusing the interactive dashboards from ISH because we really love that feature. And now that we're bringing it over down to mobile and we're having it on web, we can pretty much put it in any of the Dynamic Suite products once we get unified interface everywhere. So you'll see a little more velocity in these features reaching other products. The lifecycle management here is also easier because it is a common framework, so the upgrades are more seamless. You can customize them and integrate data more easily. And it's built for expansion. I already mentioned task-based experience, that's TBX. MDD is multi, I can't remember, dialogues. They're the new dialogues. And the client API integration, accessibility, and performance. So what makes a custom control? And this is getting more down into the weeds of custom controls. There is a manifest. And this manifest is a simple XML file, and it explains what the control does. So there's a name and a version. There's field and data set properties and resources inside the manifest. And then we have an implementation, and these are the JavaScript objects about implementing the custom control interface. So you're taking the custom control interface and you're implementing it, basically extending it. And then we have resources for building that out. We'll have JavaScript libraries, CSS images, and then you can package, install, and deploy them out to your CRM. So in Potassium, all of the out-of-the-box controls on unified interface, we call it UCI internally. So if you hear those interchangeably, it's because we have an internal term that we cannot let go of. All of them are built on the custom control framework. And in our future edition, we were going to have business edition sales and business edition marketing. All of these new products are now going to be built on the new unified interface and custom controls. So moving forward, you're going to see everything have this very similar look and feel, but also it's going to be on that common framework. Again, it's solution aware. And this is a preview feature first. We're not opening it up for ISVs to build on top of just yet, but this will come soon. We have to build out a test harness, so we're just going to document it in this release and expose the CCF. We're using it internally to build everything, and then eventually we're going to open this up so that ISVs can build their own custom controls and use the test harness that we'll give in Visual Studio, and then they can deploy them back into CRM. So looking forward with custom controls, we are looking to have a control gallery. So you can see all of the controls in the marketplace. You could buy a control. You can take out one that's for free. We are also going to have our own controls extended out there eventually so that you can take an existing control and maybe tweak it to meet your own needs. We also want to have the styling shared so that your custom control will meet our styling. So if you have theming in place and you want everything to look purple, it can adapt and buttons will show up purple then and everything will look like the theme that you had chosen. And we also want a drag and drop experience. It's very hard to work with custom controls. It's a lot of coding and usually you have to be a very techie dev to know how to do it. And we're looking to have a more drag and drop experience, so to look at your control, change the format and some of the sizing of it, or even being able to drag and drop new fields onto the control. And then finally, have an in-app development experience with XML language and having slugs to push your data out into the control to show up. So a little more, that was the end of the custom controls. I'm moving on to app modules now. In the last release, we released in Centaurus this concept of app modules. And in the app module designer, you can basically pick what entities you want to carve out for a very small app experience. So we use them for our sales app and our customer service app, field service app. But let's say you wanted to have a very specific, just look up a case app, very simple use case. You could create one and have that as a secondary app to a sales experience. And you would do that in this designer. So in the designer, it's a drag and drop experience where you can pull the entities that you want. And then once you have what you want that experience to be, that app module is in the app switcher, which I'll show you in the mobile experience. So instead of going through slides, would you like me to go over and start showing the mobile app? All right. So everything went to sleep while I was talking. Give me a second and wake it up. And thank you so much for coming. I know I'm the thing standing between you and Universal Studios. So this is the tablet experience, and I have loaded the Dynamics app. And this is the same app. I went to the App Store that's out there today, and it's the same exact app that you would download for Centaurus. And the app is smart enough to know, have you upgraded to Potassium yet, or are you still on an older version? And it'll detect what server you're on and give you the new experience or the old experience, depending on what version you're on. So for the user, there is no training to say, delete this app, go download the new app, and log into this new experience. So here I am on the dashboard, and the dashboard has all of the same layout and configuration of the original dashboards that are available on web. It looks different, but the layout is exactly the same. The field labels are exactly the same. The views are exactly the same. Everything's the same. So when you upgrade, there shouldn't be any kind of mind-blowing changes for users. This should be a very familiar experience. It just looks better, and it's easier to interact with. So I can switch my dashboard here easily. I can also scroll down and take a look at other fields on the dashboard, other components. Down here I have my activities. I can drill into a record directly from here. Now I'm looking right now at an old email. It's set to read only. It's loading up the page. And on this page, again, this is a form layout. It's exactly the same way that it would look on the web. It's just prettier. And there's some theming here. I have some purple theming set up, which is something you can theme two things. You can theme the main color, and you can theme the accent color. And that will translate down into the app. So on the app, there's some basic navigation that's different than the web. We have a tray on the bottom, and in this tray you have a back button. And the back button is one of the best features because it remembers where you were. No matter what page you're on, you can always go back to the last page. This hamburger, I don't think there's a better name for it, the 3 lines. It's a hamburger in my world. So the hamburger gives you the sitemap, and this sitemap helps you navigate quickly. You can get to it at any time, and it lets you jump to any kind of entities and views, or you can get down to your other recently viewed items, and you can start pinning things so that they're always available. So I already opened the dashboard, and now it's available up here. I can go back into sales, and I can also visit a view. So these are the accounts that I have available to me as a user. And I have all of the commanding that's available on the web, including the split fields, so I can delete something, or I can have more commands that allow me to do more complex deleting. And I also have the ability to select multiple fields and execute a command on it. If I drill into one of these records, something that is very mobile specific here is the record set navigation. And I love this feature because it lets you jump around and take a look at different records really quickly. It allows somebody to work through a long list of items, and they can be more productive. This will only show up if you navigate from a view, by the way, from a list of records. So if you just navigated to a single record, you won't get the record set navigation. It's very specific to a view. And then in the center of the screen, this is a very awesome feature, is the timeline view. The timeline combines posts, activities, and notes, and also system posts. So I can create a new one right now if I wanted. It's limited to what you configure in the system. So if you want somebody not creating new notes, you can turn that off. They can't do it. Or you can open it up and let them do anything. So I can create a new note right here, or I can just tap here, it defaults to note, and I can say, hello, everyone, and add that note. It also has device integration. So I can take a picture if I'd like and upload that. Or I could upload a file. Now, uploading a file is unique to the tablet version on Windows because it needs access to your directory. If you're on an iPhone or an iPad, it doesn't work the same, but you can still take a picture. And I also have this thing called the filter pane. And the filter pane is really cool. You can filter the information down below because this can become very long and there's a lot of information. It's great information, but if I want to get to something quickly, so if I know there's something overdue, I can tap on this item, and it should filter the information below. The touch target's in the way. There. I have no emails to show you. So I can also filter by activities, posts, and notes. If there's a very long timeline, I can tap on this arrow and change the direction. So I can look at things from the very beginning of time or go to the end. There's also the ability to filter by date. So if you just want to look at things that happened in the last day. The timeline control is available. You can put it on any entity. You can also put it on a dashboard for an all-up view of everything else going on. So it's really useful for someone who just wants to check in what's going on in their accounts. We also have the ability, because this is parity with what you would see on the web, we can switch the form, which is really awesome. So if you wanted to have a more interactive experience, form layout, this will give you a completely different view. So I could have less information here because I'm trying to use the phone, or I could have information that really I would only use when I'm on the go. At the top here, we have some tabs. There's summary, detail, and related. Sorry, you can't see. There, summary up here. This allows you to hide information that's probably not as pertinent to the user, but they can still get to it later. And the related tab lets you get to any other information. So if you have related entities, here we have related opportunities. That will promote it to a tab. And then if I choose another related tab, it will swap it. Now it says cases. So we're really trying to bring in this information and not overwhelm the user. CRM is always such a powerful thing, and I always find that it's too much. Like you get into your CRM and the user just has a few tasks that they need to do. In a sales scenario especially, you want to make sure that they know exactly what they need to do and they don't need to read through a lot of stuff. Now, there are some power users that do want all the information because they like to make more informed decisions. We're not getting rid of anything. Today on Mocha, there was a lot of limitations. You had to configure it to make sure that it worked just right for your scenario. we don't limit you anymore. There's no limits to the number of tabs. There's no limits to the amount of data. Everything is available. So from here, we still have the ability to get to create a new record at any point in time. If I'm at this account and I just ran into somebody, I can create a contact on the fly. And I get this quick create flyout that happens on the side. And I just ran into myself, my twin. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to view the record. And since I saw Linda, I also want to upload her photo. And I'm going to use my camera. So there is a device integration, and this will work on the phone and the tablet and the iPad. That's me. Say cheese. Come on. That one's not so good. And it's having a bug. Oh, it didn't work. That's probably for the best. That wasn't a good photo. I'll try it on the iPad too. This is an older version that we're demoing from. So we also have the task-based experiences here. I can update a contact on the fly. These are customizable. You can control a very fast task through a task-based experience, which is really great because CRM is usually entity to record kind of experience. But the TBX allows you to customize some kind of thing that the user needs to do quickly when they're on mobile or even from web. So here we have a few: update contact, follow up with opportunity, or an after meeting. So they can file these quickly from any point in the application. They could be in the middle of opening an opportunity and still be able to update a contact. The lookup control is something that is also new. So if I want to look up a new contact, you can see two of the recent visited records here. I have Linda Simovich and Jim Glynn popped up because I just saw them. This makes it a lot more productive. I don't have to search for them. I can also create a new one from here, or I can do a search and the user will show up. This lookup also will work in other types of lookup fields where it goes across the user's accounts and contacts. It can show the different types behind tabs. So if you want to link something to a different entity type, you can do that as well. So now I'm going to switch over to phone. Hopefully my phone didn't go to sleep. This is on 7. Great. So you can see it's the same exact experience. What happens on the phone is that we do a reflow and stack all of the components on the screen. And the reason for that is because we don't want to take away any of the functionality. Now on the dashboard, this one, we did some different modifications here to make it a little easier to condense the data. There's a concept called See More. There's an icon on the phone. I can't use a mouse, so in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little box with an arrow pointing out of it. We have the ability to do a zoom out, and this allows you to interact with the data. So now I can pinch and zoom in on that data or zoom out. So if you have a lot of information, you're trying to get to those details, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. And you can also tap and kind of look at the data, and you get these little tooltips that pop up. This will also work with list views, because a list view will only show what you see on the screen. So there may be another 100 records you want to look at. The See More button will allow you to navigate through all of those records quickly. Now, the one difference with phone that I wanted to point out is that if you're on a form, I don't think, there we go. So we're on a form. There's this button called the semantic zoom, and this is the one thing that we put in to try to make navigation easier. So if you tap on this, because we have a very long form, and I don't feel like using my thumb to scroll 16 times to get to the bottom, You can jump down. So I'm at the social pane right now. That little window is a picture of my phone. It's showing where I'm looking on the form, but I can jump down to recent opportunities really easily. We also have tap to top. If I tap on the top header, it flies right back up to the top. So it's really great navigation. You'll see dot, dot, dots a lot all over the place, so there's a dot, dot, dot up here. These are all the overflows for commanding. We didn't want to take them away. There was a lot of debate about what to do with all of these commands. Do we take them away? Do we only give you what's most important? But because there's so much customization in Dynamics, there's so many commands, and you can inject commands with solutions. We don't want to take anything away from you. So we still have all of the commands that you may want to use, and you can still use it on your phone. Through studies, we've been talking with users and trying to understand what they're doing. More and more people are using mobile only. They don't even want to go on their computers. They're out at a restaurant or they're out at their customer. They don't want to open up their laptop to get to those extra commands. They don't like being limited. So they still have the ability to get that done through these dot, dot, dots and get to the extra commands, but we've cleaned it up so that it's not crowding the screen all the time. Okay, we also have search, so we have categorized search. I don't have relevant search configured in this org, but with the new relevant search feature, that's also available on mobile. So you would be able to do relevant search here. From categorized search, I can start typing in someone's name, and you will get back all of the different types that it matches on. So I have a contact here, and it comes back in the search. It's really optimized with tiles to click on with your finger, so you're not trying to hit a very small touch target. So I am going to now move over to iPad. And it's really just a matter of showcasing how everything looks differently. If you remember on the Windows tablet had 3 columns. But on the iPad, there's only 2. And the reason for that is because there's a break point in the form that makes it reflow. And the break point on this size screen couldn't fit that 3rd column in. So that 3rd column now goes down below. And there's a lot of math to make this happen. But it works, and it's actually quite nice. Another accessibility rule is that things always have to be in the same order all of the time. You can't switch things around, because to a blind user who's listening to the screen, if they keep visiting the screen and everything keeps changing the order, it messes up their rhythm and they can't work as well. So we had to adhere to making sure things reflow exactly the same every single time. So on iPad, it works almost exactly like the tablet on the Windows machine. However, there are some differences in that there is no ability to upload a file. You can't use the Excel integration. It's a little more difficult to download files. So there's some benefits in that if you're a Power Mac user, there's a lot of integration with other Macs. But I think that the Windows machine has a lot more power. But for the most part, it's parity. It's the exact same thing. You just only get 2 columns. So the app modules I was talking about earlier are accessed in the upper left-hand corners. You see Sales Hub with the arrow? If I tap on Sales Hub, this takes me out to my app launcher. And this is where you would have all of your apps. You could also download apps once there's a good marketplace for that. But out of the box, in this release, you'll see a Sales Hub, and you'll see a Customer Service Hub. We have a Customer Service Hub in this release for knowledge management. So if you need to create new articles for case management, or for making new articles for your customers to read, you'd have to do it through the Customer Service Hub. But Sales Hub is the one that's GAing, and this is the one that is on parity with Mocha. And at any time, you can swap and go back and load a different app module. Let me just check, make sure I covered everything. So I am open to questions if you guys have any, and we can talk about custom controls if anyone wants to dive a little deeper into that. You'll have to come up to the microphone, please, because I think they're recording it, or I can repeat your question.
Just go on custom controls. That's what I'm looking for. Session. Can you show more?
Show more custom controls?
How to do it?
We can't show you how to do it yet. So it's not open. And the reason being is because we just could not build the test harness yet. So that is coming. And because it's not tied to our server, we can build a out-of-band release for that. So we're working on a program. We're going to open it up to ISVs so that we can have some people help us build that out and make it better. So we're looking at, again, the custom control framework is a very exciting thing. And a lot of people are really kind of chomping at the bit. They want to get their hands on it. And we know that. So it's coming. Yeah. In time. Yes?
Can you build in, or is there already capability that allows someone to be able to set a preference for their surface? For example, if the dashboard they desire is different on the mobile experience, and we designed a separate dashboard, can they make a choice in their profile or select and pin that for the mobile experience versus pin one for the tablet experience and pin yet another one and retain that? That's an issue that we have.
That's really interesting feedback. And I've kind of gone back and forth on what to do about. So there's this thought of continuing what your work is where you left off on mobile to web. So if you're on web, we've heard from users, well, I'm doing this work on the web, and then I'm going to grab my phone and go out on the road. I want to have my last thing that I had open still available. And what you're asking, it sounds like, is that you'd rather have it be separate. You'd rather have this web experience pinning separate versus the mobile experience so that you have more of a mobile-focused dashboard. Is that?
I would state that just a little differently. I would state that we would like the option to do that. The ability to pin a separate is the way I would say that as a feature statement. And that then allows for both opportunities to exist. It is our view that in some of the states that the noise associated with it really isn't desirable for the folks that are on the phone. Therefore, those particularly the ones that we would skinny up just a little bit here and there, and actually even change, perhaps even quarter. Often it's reducing, but based on the way in which it flows, for us, we want the priority because there's a three-column structure associated with it when you're building the form initially. Not always is it, for us, the best practice for the system to automatically choose order. I want to be able to have the order set up based on what's right for that form type. It gives us the capability to have the best of both worlds. So I've restated this.
Okay. So having more of a way to focus your mobile experience and make it more optimized for the user so that you're not just getting the same exact experience, but something that's a little more.
Have the option to do both. Right.
You can switch. Yeah. We actually did have a feature that we wanted to build in the forms that was similar to what you're asking, which would have been to have a mobile default for a form layout. So it sounds like pretty much the same ask, but for dashboards. Okay. Got it.
Double down on that request, if that's not something we're looking into, making sure that there's a mobile form. Because there's a web form today, and there's a desktop form, and they're smart enough to know which you're coming from.
Yes.
If you are a phone, there's currently no default. You have to go another form and then train the user to
Mm-hmm.
in the field. So being able to provide just in time, just the right information for those users would be more valuable than flowing
The
full
gigantic, yeah.
insured form and trying to just make it one very long one.
It's great feedback. And I agree. I think it's definitely something that we've thought about. This is something that we can think about putting in for a future release. Yeah, thanks. Any other comments? Yeah?
On the unified interface, when will this be available at the tenant end for on-premise?
Good question. So in this particular release, this is only online. So usually we release online first, and it'll come to on-prem later. Exactly when, I can't communicate that just yet, but it is something that is on our roadmap to put on-prem. Yeah?
This new interface, now you're doing it for CRM or sales. How about the other dynamic products like field service and operations?
So the quick answer to that is field services being put on it. Operations is not yet. So currently, everything that's built on the Dynamics customer engagement platform is moving over to unified interface. And expanding beyond that, I don't have anything to communicate on that just yet.
So it stays separate for us.
For now.
Tagging on to that statement, do you have two separate teams that are competing? Because we see a new user interface on D365, operations and finance. And it seems odd, again, to see that kind of,
So
appears to be friction.
there is not a competing factor. So something that you may have heard is that the Dynamics operations team and finance and I don't know what's that side called, AX, Nav, and our team on Dynamics customer engagement are now becoming one org. We were previously separate. So we were running separately in different silos. Now we're all in one silo. So that has just happened. So I think it's early yet for any kind of synergy to happen, but I would expect to see more synergy between the two teams.
But it's actually a deeper question, right? It's not only about the UI, it's about the underlying
Yeah.
platform. So we'll see more and more convergence. I think we will think more on the UI level, but there will be still differences because it takes time. If the direction will be to go into one platform, it will take time. You cannot like take AX tomorrow and put it on an EXRM kind of platform or CDS program. It will take time. You will see more and more alignment coming, both on the UI first designs and then on the underlying.
And she did a good job of answering the context that there's a convergence of the team coming together as a unified team. That is a helpful statement, because often we've seen that that's been a struggle for Microsoft to do that. It's very nice to see that happen.
Honestly, 7 years ago, it was also one team.
It used to be, I heard, yeah.
So I don't think this refutes much for you.
But what we have done with unified interface and the framework for the UI and the framework for the custom controls, it can become untethered, so it doesn't have to be just with our product. And I think as we start to mature and build out more and more controls, it will become more of a popular thing that people will want to adopt. It is a really powerful framework that we're building out, and I think there will be, I can't communicate everything that's coming, it's too far in the roadmap, but I think you'll see a lot of exciting things come in the future.
Get it out in the wild as fast as possible because we are way too long for it,
For what?
for the custom controls.
Oh, yeah.
And I think ISVs, software developers can provide valuable input on that.
Yes.
What is a good idea, what is not that bad.
I think, and I completely agree, we want that feedback. I think we wanted to release first because we needed to build out that framework and make sure that we can use it, and then we'll open it up. But yes, it's coming, and we do really want that feedback. So one more piece on that I forgot to mention was about mashups and any embedded iframes. Those will continue to work. Nothing's going to break there. So if you do have customizations where you're doing any kind of mashups or embedding any kind of other screens from other systems into Dynamics, nothing's going to break there. You can still do it. So if you wanted to stick Bing into Dynamics, you could do that as well. That is the stopgap for now if you have any complex stuff you're trying to build out.
You have the lock symbol, you have the present symbol. One thing was that you want, for example, have it colored if it's in transit. Currently you have manipulate DOM, which is not allowed or not the best way to do it. But you currently have symbols there, small ones, and this is a good idea. And they ask us, why can't we put symbols there? Yeah, there are symbols like that.
Yeah, it will be completely different with CCF. I promise. Okay, and yeah.
First off, appreciate your patience with the questions. The extensibility will, the mechanisms under which we can extend change as a result of this new platform. I want to augment, maybe call out the JavaScript, have, I need some mechanisms to combine and give a look much akin, if you will, to what we find in Outlook. And so as I see my contacts in a list associated with, let's say, an account or opportunity or whatever, there's an interest on our team for us to be able to have that same UI experience that robustly ties, much like when you add the list of folks that you've added, instead of providing that list in such a significant way that takes up so much space, provide that list in the form that you see in an email as you add the name, and you then float over and can see the details associated with those images. Click on it and have it present more detail. And that experience then provides a very rich and a very nice user experience that's consistent. You don't have to teach about it. It's consistent with the tool for which folks are so commonly familiar with, particularly when it's a list of contacts for which you are associating with some entity.
So let me try to.
For us right now, in order to do that, we've got to build out
You build your own.
so
Yeah.
well, we got to build out a control effectively. And I'm asking, first off, I'd love to see that feature added into the tool set. I think it's a very rich feature, one that makes sense in terms of the UI experience and utilization in many places within the application. But in lieu of that, my team's going to build something like that. I want to know, should I build it now? Should I build it later?
So we need to understand the exact scenario. So the multi-item lookup, it's getting very close to what you're describing. I don't know, I don't understand exactly what you're trying to build, but it's getting very close to that. And we don't have yet the ability to have, like, for example, I definitely want to push soon the ability for, if I'm seeing, for example, any lookup here, for example, the account name, to be able to not only click on that and open a new page, but to actually have, like, same as you have in Outlook, right? Like an account card or a contact card, so any object card that you will see there. I think once we will have that, plus the multi-item lookup, then we will be pretty much doing what you are looking for, if I understand correctly.
Well, we do to a degree. Just note that with some entities that you have a list of folks, and when you have that such list, I don't want to see, I just want to see the list of the names.
Yeah, I understand. And it's very close to the multi-item.
I'm sorry, please.
It's very close to the way we designed the multi-item lookup.
Yeah, I don't have
And
it.
again, it's not exactly what you're trying to reach, but we are very close to that, and I definitely see us going into that.
Yeah, I don't have anything that I can show.
Don't add that feature too much.
Again, I cannot say the time now, right? We have so many, like,
I'm going to pull that out.
There's a lot that we're working
Look
on.
what happened here. We tried in one version, actually almost one version, to redesign the entire client. I don't know of any business application company who was saying, we looked around that was trying to do that. So you need to be patient with us. We need to roll that. You guys need to work with us, give us feedback, right? Custom control was supposed to get in this release. We couldn't make it. We will make it. There's so much going on. But we need your cooperation. You need to test that, give us feedback. We'll improve that. And there's a lot of feature requests that we are getting and we want to push in. And again, both send us email. We'll try to figure it out. But this is why we also do the custom control framework, right? So you guys will be able to actually extend that. And we definitely, as Linda was saying, want to see a marketplace for control because we cannot answer all the business requirements of the entire user base. But yeah, so this feedback is great, and you need to understand the scenario. So whenever you have scenario like that, and you want to send us an email, Linda or I or someone from our team, and we look into that, and we can give you kind of like, is it coming soon or is it coming in the future, and you'll know if you're interested.
We have a long roadmap. I didn't include it because there's so much more we can do. Once we release this, this is a completely new interface, so your feedback is really important. So please try it out. You can look at it in public preview right now, or you can wait until the release, which is coming very soon. And start up a trial org, play with it, give us your feedback on what we can improve. We already know a lot of them, so a lot of feedback we're probably already thinking of too. I'm also thinking about how we can improve the login experience using our new global discovery service. So that's another thing that we're hoping to get out to the market soon. So,
Again, for the ones who are really passionate about the custom control framework, you can get very quickly into a preview.
we will be reaching out soon to the ISVs. We just, again, we had to complete this release first, but you'll hear something soon. Okay.
GA is coming out soon, meaning
Very soon.
a few weeks, as in
Probably between next week, I assume next week.
that's soon.
Yeah, we're
Again, this is for phone, tablet, Outlook app will become preview, and in 3 weeks will become GA as well. The web experience will take a few months for us to actually get that.
And then you committed as well for field service to be fully functional.
Once we'll get into web, the team of field service and project service are working in parallel to the sales and service team to move into that infrastructure. So definitely sales, service, project service, field service. We have a new marketing preview now. All these customer engagement apps
and web.
will run towards that once the web will be up.
And web, sorry,
Preview for field service?
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but we're working on it right now. So we're going through testing and it's being worked on. One other thing about web, so web will be in the release after and everything will move to web. So we'll have UCI available everywhere. When that happens, you'll be able to access Dynamics on your phone from web without even having to download an app, which is huge because users today, the only thing we have available on your phone is Mobile Express, which is very, very limited. It's just text. There's no functionality really available in there. So after that happens, you would get almost the same exact experience as you get on phone without the phone helpers that we put into the app. And you wouldn't get offline, obviously, with a web.
Linda, you just spoke about offline. Did you speak already about whether offline?
Offline is in this release.
Mobile experience
Yep.
when it goes GA?
Mhm.
Then in that context, I'm picking up a lot of questions. So make sure I'm not.
They're good questions.
When you took that photo as an example, we have requirements where we need to be able to take those photos as well as video. And I'm hopeful that we're not going to be restricted photo or video, but multiple environments, Android, iOS, et cetera. But the ability to do that offline and assure that that state's going to get pulled up, is that going to be available for us in the release?
Yes.
The
Video, I'm not sure about video. I know you can do photographs and you can do file uploads. Is video part of it? I don't think so. Let me follow up on that question.
Important one. There's really three unstructured pieces of data like that that are important to us. And that's, it doesn't seem like a far stretch to be able to just turn that feature on. You know, there's some things that you just flip the bits and it's available. But the ability to take that as well as audio, so the camera
Audio does work, yes.
and audio snip it. Now, once that's done, there's another piece that's very important associated with that, and that's the ability to tag that, because there's taxonomy more than just the case that you're on, or there's more taxonomy that you like to be able to add. So the expectation of being able to tag that, the tagging mechanism in a structured, controlled manner is a very significant feature.
Yeah, so tagging is something that we look into. It's a main kind of requirement. Something that we're looking into. Especially, again, we were struggling to show or not show some of the roadmap stuff we didn't show, but there is some also voice. So if you look at the next generation, I think that we're looking into that one thing in voice, and for folks who want to do auto tagging, because perfect. I'm getting into a car in like after a meeting. It's like after a meeting, I need to, if I need to really log in the meeting thing, I will probably get into an accident, right? So what we want to do is actually say, okay, I can in the car, I can say something, and use some of the relationship system, actually AI stuff. You can actually extract this information and tag it.
Right.
This is already working as a prototype. Again, you don't want to show it yet because it's too early, but tagging is required for that. So how do I also that?
That tagging
But
has
this
to
is
be
more
managed.
this is more futuristic. This will take time for us.
But just note that that tagging has to be managed against the common tag structure by the scene. But addition, which is great, so you were leading to the next, as well as, of course, notes to be automatically tagged. I realize that's an iterative process for you. The most concerning for us in our initial use case, yes, indeed, we have the use cases you just addressed, which isn't a surprise to me, I'm sure. But those first three, the photo, the video, the audio, those three really come for us the most significant first.
So we are working on some stuff, and again, photo as well. We'll have the recording and can show you some stuff, but photo as well. We want like photo and audio is something that we are working with the data and AI team. So in a way, we'll take a photo and automatically we'll try not only to tag it, but also understand to take a photo of a note or a whiteboard. It will not only auto tag it, but also extract action items from that photo. And again, technology is there.
You're right.
We just need to write integration into that. And we definitely see for mobile next generation is not only getting the UI based on the feedback, but you'll see voice and image processing time. And this is a project that we are working on.
The ability to do that with an image tag, a tag of the equipment, and so forth becomes
So
very.
if you had a chance to go into the Kubernetes services kind of scenarios or to the expo there, we are using the same technology now. We will put that into mobile, but again, I don't see it coming in the next few months. It will probably take more kind of like 6 to 12 months to come to a point again without committing to it.
So as far as voice goes, I just wanted to correct. I don't see it here. I just checked the tablet version, and I think I got it confused with a future enhancement. So it doesn't look like it's in yet for voice, but it is definitely something that we have on the roadmap that we want to have in there. So not in this particular release, but in future, definitely. Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much for coming, and I guess we'll see you later tonight at Universal. So thank you.